Coming up next on Headline Humboldt, the Eureka Police Officers Association issued a letter to the public this week explaining how budget and staffing issues have hamstrung department operations. They're asking for increased public support. Also, we interview Richard Bergstresser and Daryl Chinn from the Humboldt County Grand Jury about the importance of their work, oversight of the government by members of the public, and why more people are needed to do the work. Coming up now on Headline Humboldt. From the top of Humboldt Hill, this is Headline Humboldt. I'm James Falk. Thanks for joining us. In a perfect world, we wouldn't need police. This is not a perfect world. This week, we're going to hear from Detective Joseph Couch from the Eureka Police Department, interim president of the Eureka Police Officers Association, about how funding limitations at the department have led to dramatic curtailments of staffing and services. Some viewers of this show may have complicated views about police in general, and I have never been one to unconditionally defend all the actions of police. Given recent history and the abuses we've all seen via the occasional cell phone video, such a view is understandable. There absolutely have been and will undoubtedly continue to be abuses that people can point to, abuses of power and process that are unacceptable. By giving one small segment of people the power to enforce rules over another, that sort of abuse is almost unavoidable. So steps have to be taken, lines drawn, so that these enforcers know that they are as much a subject of the law as any criminal they pull off the streets. They are not better than anyone else, nor any worse. That being said, police, to my mind, are an absolute pivotal part of keeping the peace in any community and are instrumental in helping the rest of us feel safe. They have to operate within the law and respect the fact that their power is only contingent on their willingness to stay within the Constitution and the law. But ironically, they are vital in maintaining an open society. So while I sincerely wish they weren't needed, they absolutely are. And if they are going to put people in the position of being the moral authority for the rest of us, they need to have the staffing and tools necessary to get that work done. Now, for the interview today, we have Richard Bergstresser and Daryl Chinn from the Humboldt County Grand Jury, who will describe the integral work this body performs and tell us why additional volunteers are now needed. This is absolutely one instance where folks who are worried about abuses of power and people by the government can get off their sofas and make a positive difference by getting more involved. In a letter to citizens of Eureka, the Eureka Police Officers Association this week outlined financial issues within the department that have come to impact and limit services. Detective Joseph Couch, EPOA interim president, said the department is doing its absolute best to meet the city's needs, but vital positions have had to be cut and existing officers are working long hours to make up as much of the difference as possible. Couch spoke to me via Zoom to explain the situation.
It seems to be a consistent issue that we've been going through over the last several years. And it was talked about how we've never really informed the public of what we're actually going through and how the staffing struggles have been consistent, and we're constantly trying to battle that while still providing the best service that we can possibly provide and answer every call for service that comes to us, and try to do it in the most professional and prompt manner that we can. You know, we're a busy department that receives a lot of calls for service day in and day out, and every officer that's working is consistently responds to those calls and handles them the best way that they can, as best as they possibly can. With the disbanding of some of our specialty units that kind of alleviated a lot of those calls, it's kind of placed a larger burden on some of our patrol officers because they're now having to handle the grunt of some of those issues. We still, receive a lot of complaints for traffic related issues, for high speed vehicles or reckless drivers. And those are complaints that our traffic division used to be able to handle if they were working, during the times those complaints would come in. We haven't had a traffic unit since before I started working here 7 years ago. Same thing with the problem-oriented policing unit. That was a unit that had 3 detectives and a detective sergeant, and issues related to, problem houses, drug-related houses, large amounts of foot traffic, vehicle traffic. That unit got disbanded in 2022 to put the detectives back on patrol, as well as the sergeant. And then with our community safety engagement team, they're out there handling the majority of the mental health related calls. They're dealing with the homelessness issues, substance abuse issues. They're consistently providing services to people who are willing to receive those services or who are in need of those services, and they work relentlessly at doing that. But they're also working short-staffed. Right now, they have a sergeant who's in charge of that unit, a park ranger, a sworn park ranger, and a non-sworn park ranger. And then our MIST officer, our I believe it's Mobile Intervention Services team. They work tirelessly to try to, meet the needs and objectives of that unit. But they're consistently, backing up patrol or coming into work patrol overtime, which takes away from their time to handle those CSAT issues.
It's important to note that the EPOA is not blaming the City Council or department administrators for this shortfall. They're asking that the public get involved and help find the department the funding it needs to do its work effectively. The letter states, quote, "We call upon our community to actively support our efforts to increase the number of police officers to a fully operational level at the Eureka Police Department. We strive to retain and recruit quality people and encourage our community to participate in this process."
EPOA is the voice of not only patrol, but our dispatchers, our property clerk, our evidence technician, our community service officers, our animal control officers. And so, in my opinion, I think it would mean more coming from our union, our association, the people who are actually out there in the public, doing the services that are being requested of us by the citizens of Eureka. I think, in my opinion, that it's more impactful coming from us. Not to say that our administration or command staff, weren't considering it. I don't know if they were or not. They've been very supportive of the letter being released. They appreciated the positive tenor of it. I've had several conversations with them, and they're constantly working together with the EPOA to try to solve the issues that we're going through. They're not just sitting back and just watching it happen. They're working behind the scenes. It just seemed like the EPOA had more of an ability to do it in a prompt manner and in a way to be the voice of the department to the public, to the citizens of Eureka.
Detective Couch will be in the studio here next week to talk more about this situation and figure out what can be done to help out the Eureka Police Department. Now joining us in studio is sort of another enforcement arm of local government. We have Richard Bergstresser and Daryl Chinn from the Humboldt County Grand Jury. Thank you guys for coming down and for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
I think there's a multi-pronged message that we're trying to get through today, but let's first start with what is the grand jury for people who don't know or may not be from this area. California is one of the few states that have one, and we'll get to that. But describe for us, Richard, you are the chairperson. What is the grand jury and what is its work?
The grand jury, and there's one in every county by law in California, is charged with, and the easiest way to say it is being a watchdog of local government. Mm-hmm. We look at any city, the county, any special district, any elected officials, and the departments within those entities, and look for efficiencies. It's not a punishment arm. It's looking to find ways to make the services more streamlined and the tax dollars better spent.
Yeah. Now, so, I mean, having mentioned that it's only in California and Nevada, is that right? Or
yes.
Okay. Now, how did they end up with the grand jury and other states not? Is it sort of a state constitution thing? Or?
In California's case, it is enshrined in the Constitution. I couldn't speak to Nevada. The concept of a grand jury goes back to the 1600s in England, yeah, and has kind of morphed. Most people are very familiar with the criminal grand jury,
yeah, yeah,
and that's what you see on TV. And the civil grand jury is a very different beast.
A criminal grand jury decides whether or not to have an indictment against someone who has had evidence presented against them by prosecutors, right?
Exactly. And in California, that's usually in complicated instances where the district attorney feels like they need to appeal to a larger body to get a sense of it.
Yeah. Daryl, let's bring you into the conversation. So what kind of people serve on the grand jury, and why, do you think?
We have people from all walks of life. We have people who have worked for government, and we have people who say, we have one person who says she's been a bureaucrat. So she's watched over grants, she's written grants.
Yeah. That's probably a really important insight to have on the grand jury.
Right, we have people with many skills, all sorts of skills. We have people who have been on the grand jury before. We have somebody who's a political fundraiser. We have people who have been chemists.
Wow.
Okay, so I would say the experience of the grand jury as a whole is really broad, which really helps because people bring different kinds of insights into the discussions, knowledge and insight.
Yeah. Why did you join the grand jury? Was there a particular issue that brought you, or just interest in doing community service?
I was interested in community service. I wanted to see how things in local government were run. I'm really interested in that. I don't want to run for politics, for political office.
Yeah.
I've thought of it, but about 2% of me has thought of it. And the rest of the time, I wanted to just help people, help myself understand how things work.
Yeah. Now, Richard, you're a former police officer.
Yes.
So did that play into your decision to be on the grand jury? Do you find yourself using those skills? How does that work out?
I wouldn't say it really played into the decision. The decision was based on a genuine want to make things better for all of us. We all sit around and gripe, you read the comments, and
Absolutely.
people blah, blah, blah. Well, let's do something about it. My skills absolutely come into play because we are an investigatory body, and I made a living investigating things.
Yeah.
So I can bring a lot of that to the table, I hope.
Yeah, yeah. Now, so do you find it at all, I mean, a conflict or even just sort of a strange feeling to be investigating some of the agencies that you may have worked for in the past, or does that ever come up?
I don't feel strange about it at all, and I think, in fact, it gives me insight that can help the entire body.
Yeah.
As Daryl was saying, we have people from all walks of life, and this is one specific area of life that we can bring to the table.
Yeah, yeah. Why do you think the grand jury is important? Easy question. Come on.
Yeah, no, I could
1
go.
minute.
I could go on and on. Essentially, it is that watchdog role.
Yeah.
Everybody is paying into the government in one form or another. The money that the county is spending may come from local tax dollars, property tax, the federal, the state, but it's still all of our money. We want to see those tax dollars applied in the best way possible. As we know, Humboldt County has loads of issues, and we're not going to be able to solve any of them. If we can address productively even a 1%, 2% of them, I think we've done a great job.
Yeah.
So that's why we want to make life better for everybody in this county.
Yeah. Before the show, Daryl, you were talking about sort of the challenge of developing institutional memory as a juror, because you only max you can serve 2 years, and that's not a lot of time to accrue experience and stuff. I want to ask about the sort of the real, how realistic is it to expect citizens who are generally informed but not necessarily particularly informed about what a department's doing or the bureaucracy or all of that, to be able to learn enough about the intricacies of government to issue a reasoned opinion about some of these processes that are so very complicated with stacks of regulations and red tape and stuff. I mean, can you talk a little bit about the challenge of being able to do that research and what it requires of you and the other jurors as volunteers?
I would say it's an advantage to be well read about local issues.
Yeah.
So you can read news. The grand jury reports are all publicly available. You have to be curious. You have to listen. Our process is that we do a lot of research. We go visiting, and we have people we interview.
Yeah.
Okay, and those are the ways, and our personal observations. So those are the ways in which we bring together the knowledge to research, to write reports,
Yeah.
to make recommendations.
Now, your experience within government probably helps a little bit with some of that challenge, though, right? Like, I mean, you've been inside a bureaucracy. You have someone who has, you said, been in the bureaucracy itself, and the broad range of experience might help to inform you guys in the case of some of these complicated issues. But can you talk a little bit about that challenge? I mean, like, last year you guys issued a report on the Child Welfare Services Department. I mean, that is a massive department, and there are millions of dollars involved and lots of conflicting regulations. I mean, can you just describe for us a little bit about the challenge of being informed enough to make your opinions relevant?
Yeah, what we have to do is acquire enough knowledge and a legitimate base of knowledge, and that takes a lot of work. And that's something I think maybe the public and sometimes the departments that are responding to our reports don't understand. We'll go through stacks of paperwork, multiple interviews, site visits, and carefully winnow that down to the things that are the most germane to the topic we're looking at.
Yeah.
Having myself been involved in local government, a few other people in local government, yeah, that gives us shortcuts. But it doesn't mean that what we say is definitive.
Yeah.
We're still going to go and research those things that are rattling around in my head and make sure I'm right.
Yeah, yeah.
And the same thing for other folks. We have well over 1,000 years worth of work experience sitting in that room.
Yeah.
And that's where the strength of the grand jury lies.
Yeah. Who do you depend on the most within county government in order to help keep you informed and on track? The county counsel's office, you mentioned that they support you a little bit, but that doesn't sound like it's a...
We have very little institutional support. We have a budget of $60,000, which is essentially nothing.
Piddling, yeah.
We don't have a dedicated meeting room, which we did pre-COVID. We have access to county counsel for specific issues such as jurisdictional issues and to make sure we don't libel anybody.
Yeah.
But that's the only staff support we really get. So we're really on our own with this. Some counties will have an attorney assigned to the grand jury. Now, obviously, those are much larger counties, and it's kind of apples and oranges, but we're making do with very thin resources.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you guys find that the officials within local government, now you're mainly dealing with the county, right? Some in limited instances you'll deal with other,
No,
is that right?
we can deal with a water district or a fire department or a community service district.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to be within the county. It can be-
No, not at all. Any function of government, and that does include special districts, and a lot of folks don't know a whole lot about special districts. There's something like 68 in the county. Fire districts, water districts, et cetera, et cetera. So any of those are able to be investigated by the grand jury.
Yeah. Do you guys find that you get enough respect from the officials that you're interviewing, both in person and then also in their responses, written responses? Daryl, do you want to try that one?
Well, we have the backing of state law.
Mm-hmm.
That basically says if we ask for something, you have to give it to us.
Yeah.
And you're not supposed to tell anybody else that somebody has asked for it, that the grand jury has asked for it.
Yeah.
So you can't say, oh, I'm going to check with my whoever to make sure I can send this to you. No, you have to in secret and in totality
Yeah.
conform with the request. So we have the backing of law to say you must do this,
Yeah.
and you must do it in confidence.
And the confidentiality
part of it.
aspect,
Yeah.
it can't be overstated.
Yeah.
If we need to speak to someone who is a mid-level person in a department, they are going to feel very intimidated that if they criticize their department, their boss might have not a great view of what they had to say.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah.
So we absolutely demand confidentiality and do everything we can, and we're also guided by state law to ensure that confidentiality.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that you mentioned is that sometimes people will come in and they say something to you guys in person during an interview or whatever, but then when it comes time for the official or report that comes from the body of government or whatever, things might get fudged a little bit. There's a little bit more of a political process involved in that. Is that the problem that you guys face a lot, or does it happen only occasionally? What's the skinny?
Having been involved only in last year's and
Well, that's the thing, right?
being very cautious about not getting into the details of confidentiality.
Yeah, yeah.
But yes, we do conduct an interview, an exit interview, with usually the head of whatever department that we have been investigating. And we ask them to look at the findings, and the findings only, and agree or disagree, and if they disagree, tell us why.
Mm-hmm.
Well, entirely too often, that department head will say, yes, I agree with this, I agree with that. Then we come to get the official response from, let's say, the Board of Supervisors,
Yeah.
and there's a bunch of no's, we don't agree.
Yeah, yeah.
So it gets, it gets lawyered at some
Yeah,
point.
yeah, right.
And that points out that we are just 19 lay people.
Yeah.
We don't know all the T's and I's to dot and cross in the law.
Yeah, yeah.
So little tiny loopholes can be exploited to refute a finding when really what we would hope is at least the spirit of that investigation be addressed.
Yeah.
And that is what too often is left behind.
Yeah, yeah.
And also, we don't name names.
Yeah.
The grand jury never names names. It says the office or the organization.
Yeah. You don't particularize it and
We don't
villainize
say
somebody
we
or-
don't say the current person's name or whatever it is.
Why is that important, do you think?
Because we want something to happen.
Yeah.
We want awareness on a more than just a personal level. Because if once we name the person, then who knows what that naming that person will do. They could take vengeance upon their staff and say, if you're the one that did this,
Yeah.
well, I think you're the one that did this,
Yeah.
or said this.
Well, and I think if people associate a problem with a given person, then, sack that person and all of a sudden there's no more problem to deal with. But well, if that doesn't get at the heart of what's rotten in the agency, if there is anything rotten, then nothing's solved, right?
We're investigating institutional issues, not personal issues.
Yeah. Now, you have 19 people. The term runs from when to when again?
For the same fiscal year as the county, so from July 1 to June 30.
Okay. So now part of what we're here for is recruitment, correct?
Absolutely.
So talk a little bit about that. I mean, what are the time requirements and what kind of people do you think make the best grand jurors for the community?
Well, I'll answer your last question first. The best people are the people who are interested and who will show up and put in an honest effort.
Yeah.
From what walk of life they come, we don't care.
Yeah.
The judge who does it's literally of those people who put in an application, it's picking names out of a hat.
Yeah.
There's no preference of any sort shown in that kind of thing. The reason we're having a hard time is really hard to say. One is the time commitment.
Are you at 19 right now?
We're at 17.
Okay.
And we try to keep a pool of alternates.
Yeah, yeah.
We've been through quite a few.
Okay.
There'll be medical issues, personal crises. Maybe someone got on the grand jury and found out it's not exactly what they thought.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I'd rather have them go and do something else.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's only so many people out there who are interested in doing this, and we're trying to reach out and let people know how important it is to the county and really to them in a roundabout way.
Yeah, yeah.
We've also heard from people in southern, northern, and eastern Humboldt County who say, we have a hard time getting there.
Yeah, yeah.
I would encourage them to apply. We can do and often do meetings via Zoom. There are accommodations. Yes, it will take some drive time, and but we reimburse mileage.
Yeah, so that's-
So we don't want to exclude anybody for any reason. We just happen to live in a very large rural county.
What are the time requirements like? If someone wants to volunteer, I mean, there's the time in the meetings, which I guess there's 2 a week, is that what you said?
2 a week, 3 hours a week, that would be the minimum requirement. If you're going to, and especially as the term goes on and we really get into the meat of the reports,
Yeah.
it's easy to spend 20, 30, 40 hours a week.
Yeah, yeah.
If you want to. It's not required.
Yeah.
We work as one kind of organism that involves 19 people.
Yeah.
So it is a group effort to produce these reports.
Now, one thing I want to make clear is that it's not a situation where you guys are like sitting around thinking, I want to investigate Bob, who owns, it's like it's complaint driven. So you have to get a complaint from the public about something and then use that as the basis for an investigation. Is that right, Daryl?
That's one way.
Okay.
Okay, somebody can write a complaint and say, this happened to me, and I think there's a big problem here,
Yeah.
and these are the details. The grand jury can take that and say, yes, let's look into this. It looks like it's something we should look into,
Yeah.
okay? But we take the person out of it and we say, what is the process that happened that displeased this person?
Yeah.
Okay? And we can investigate it, and it could go into more of an investigation and more research. It could even go to the interview, and it could even get written up. But at any point along the way, it could get stopped. In other words, we hear the complaint, the whole group hears the complaint, and we can say, no, this is not for us. That's the end of it.
Yeah.
We write a letter.
So there's no momentum issue where, like, since you guys have put so many man hours in an investigation, by God, you're going to put out a report that's going to blister
No,
someone's hide. That's not what's going on.
And the other way that another way that can happen is somebody in the grand jury can say, I've had this experience and I think it needs investigating. So they're bringing their own situation into the possibility of an investigation. And the same thing happens. The grand jury says, let's hear it. Okay? And they say, okay, let's refer this to committee and see if they look at, see if they think, what they think of it.
So a subcommittee might take an initial gander at something to kind of get a sense of.
It usually gets sent to a subcommittee if it's going to be sent anywhere at all.
Yeah.
If it makes past the grand jury, it's going to get sent to a subcommittee.
Okay.
And they work on it. And again, at any step of the process, they can say, no, we're not going any further. We're done. We think we've got, or for whatever reason. But they have to take that decision to the whole grand jury.
Yeah. And it's a unanimous vote, or
We
is it
work with
majority?
super majority,
Okay.
so 12 people. Even if we're running at 17 as we are currently, 12 people have to agree that this is something worth pursuing.
Yeah, yeah.
So personal agendas that may walk in the room, and we all have personal stuff,
Of course.
but those stop.
Yeah, there's no way you're going to infect 12 other people with your, prejudices.
And the other thing to keep in mind is some folks who put in complaints are probably quite frustrated because only thing we can do is confirm that we received it. We can't give advice, we can't say what we're doing with it. Sometimes the complaint is not in our jurisdiction. It's just something we cannot do.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's something that is so vague that we can't do something with it.
Do you
Sometimes we'll
communicate that
veer
to
off.
people?
No, we
you
can't
can't.
by
Okay,
law,
yeah.
which is frustrating to them and frustrating to us because I think as people who care about the community, we love to say, hey, we can't do this for this reason, sorry.
Yeah.
We can't even do that.
Yeah. We have about a minute left. Anything that I missed that you want to make sure that we mention, or how do you think we're doing?
I'm one of those geeks who's read every grand jury report for the last 10 years at least. And one thing you see throughout is a lot of thoughtfulness. I fear that some of the people that these reports are specifically aimed at, whatever governmental agency, doesn't necessarily read it
Or
entirely,
respond with that same kind of
respond
thought.
it in the spirit of responding to the topic as opposed to the actual legalese of it. So what I would like to do is have the public demand response from their government to what we're putting out there. We're not doing it to embarrass people. We're putting it out there to try to help.
Yeah, excellent. And check the county website if people want to apply, is that right?
Absolutely. Search for Humboldt County Civil Grand Jury. You'll go to the county website. You'll find complaint forms, you'll find application forms, and you'll find every report for the last 10 years.
Excellent. Thank you guys very much. We are out of time. You kept me talking until the very end. Thank you very much. Stay tuned. Stay informed.